When Billy's dog refused to give birth, he knew he had to take action. He immediately called the local veterinarian, who didn't know what he encountered. He had never seen anything like this before. The dog didn't want to give birth. What could be the cause? Billy wasn't sure what to think. The vet didn't speak a word to them when he took his dog away. What was going on? Could this maybe have something to do with the weird behavior he experienced during the pregnancy? Or was there something else? Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The vet returns to the waiting room 10 minutes later, without his pregnant dog. Before he can even question where she was, the vet informed him that he had just called the police and that they were on their way. Billy was heartbroken and in disbelief. When the vet called the police, they told him that they would come his way immediately. This dog needed special help from more than just a vet. This dog needed surgery, as there was obviously something strange going on in its stomach. It might even be a life or death situation. When the police finally arrived, they helped the vet to sedate the now almost lifeless pregnant dog. But the police did not only help the vet, they also came to Billy. "Sir, we need you to come with us. It is important." Billy was shell-shocked. What did he do wrong? Billy answered questions about himself and the dog that he had owned since his youth. When he was done with answering all the questions, he heard disbelief from the surgery room. "I can't believe this," said the vet. But what did the vet find inside the dog that he was so incredibly surprised by? Billy, Erica, and their 4-year-old son, Tim, lived together in a small town. Recently, in the Anderson home, there had been a lot of sadness, and although the family had just moved into a new town and didn't know much about the town, there was another reason for the sadness. The young family had recently lost a dear member, one that had been a part of the family for 11 years, their family pet, Rio. Rio was not merely a pet, but a long-standing member of a family. You see, Rio was the first friend Billy made when he ran away from home at 16. Now that Rio was gone, it was clear that things were no longer the same. The family was unmistakably sad, but they had an inkling as to how they would fix it. Let's get another dog. The first hurdle the family faced was in choosing the next breed they would have. After voting, they decided on a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. This would be easier for Tim to adjust to, as Rio had been a terrier as well. The couple was unfamiliar with the breeding world and felt the internet would offer the most options. The couple spotted an animal shelter. Would this be destiny? Erica was ecstatic. She had begun to lose hope and was feeling a little dismayed when she spotted the small shelter on the side of the road. Turning to Billy, she pleads with him to stop and poke in. Something told her they would find what they were looking for. The young family decided that it couldn't hurt to at least check it out. The young couple was in a neighboring small city and didn't expect to find much of a selection. They were proven right. The shelter attendant explained they only had 5 dogs in their keep, and only 2 of them were puppies. However, one dog in particular immediately caught their eye. It was one of the puppies. The employee explained that the dog had been left at their door just the night before and was still acquainting itself with the space. More so, since it was so new and had been left with no identification, they knew very little about the puppy, other than the fact that it wasn't chipped. The Andersons wanted the puppy, but there was some hiccup. However, the employee stated that the shelter did not normally let animals go without first verifying their identity. However, it was a small town and an even smaller shelter that had not seen an adoption in many months. That fact made the employees state that they would make an exception for the young family. But would they come to regret it? The couple was overjoyed and headed in to sign the necessary paperwork. It seemed far too much like fate to let the puppy go. While Billy and Erica signed the papers, young Tim played with the new member of their family, who was now slowly getting used to the young boy's advances. It took about an hour for all the paperwork to be signed and recorded. And finally, the young family was headed back home with their new family pet. Everyone was excited, most of all Tim, who had now made a new best friend. Unfortunately, this feeling would not forever for the family. After a year, the family really wanted puppies, but their dog did not seem like she was able to get pregnant. This is when Billy turned to an old friend of him. He told Billy that he would be able to get the dog pregnant in no time. Billy had his doubts, but went along. Billy was surprised. It had actually worked. their dog was pregnant. He was overjoyed. He doubted that everything was legit about this man and his methods. So when his dog refused to give birth, he decided to take her to the local vet. This is when all the trouble started. The plan was for Billy to go alone. He would most likely be in the waiting room a while. He did not think anything of it. It would just be a regular checkup. Or was it? He would, however, soon wish that he took his family with him. When he got to the vet, it was already crazy busy at this early hour, so they had a bit of delay and he had to wait. The waiting room was also quite full as a result, and his dog was drawing a lot of attention, mainly because of his odd characteristics. All of this commotion had also caught the attention of the receptionist of the veterinarian. When she figured out what it was about, she immediately called the vet, and he had her postpone his next appointments a bit, moving Billy up. A few moments later, the vet walked into the waiting room himself. The vet welcomed Billy and his Alicia. He gave Billy his word that everything would be all right with his Alicia. He just had to make an ultrasound to determine what was going on with Alicia. He told Billy not to worry. Then everything changed. While performing the ultrasound, the vet's tone changed. Slowly, it went from optimistic to pessimistic. Billy noticed this, but was afraid that he would keep the vet distracted. Later, he wished he asked her sooner. The vet picked up Alicia, quickly inspected the terrier, and then took him into his office. He tells the Billy and his family, who had quickly arrived, that he has informed the police and that they will soon be here to pick up Alicia. Billy and Erica were stumped by this, and Tim started crying his eyes out, screaming that he wanted his dog back. The police officer said, "Sir, you have to come with us. We have to ask you some questions." Billy did not understand this. Why did they want to question him? He did not do anything wrong, but since he had nothing to hide, he decided to answer the questions to avoid more misery. At first, the police asked simple questions. Billy had to confirm he was actually the guy they were interviewing, and he also had to confirm that Alicia was his dog. But the next questions went more into detail, which seemed strange to Billy. Why did they want to know such things? They asked how his dog got pregnant in the first place. So Billy answered that he contacted an expert that could help him with this. He also added that he did a background check on the expert to make sure everything that he did was legal. Billy even showed his sources to the police to make sure that they knew it was legal what he did. The police understood Ben and acknowledged that it was all legal, but that they still needed some more information from him. The policeman grabbed something out of his bag that Billy did not expect. The police officer had different mugshots from potential criminals. They asked Billy if he could identify someone from the pictures. Billy was shell-shocked. After seeing a lot of pictures, he saw a familiar face. It was the face of the expert that helped him to get Alicia pregnant. But why was he a suspect? The police explained the situation shortly after. This man was not an expert when it came to dogs, but he also had a history of criminal medical activities. The police were already looking for him and notified vets because he tended to test new medical treatments on different kinds of animals. But what exactly did he do to Alicia? At that moment, they heard a loud noise from the surgery room. "We got it!" The police and Billy quickly went over to the surgery room to determine what was going on. Then they saw the vet with something in his hand. What in the world was this? The vet noticed two strange things on the ultrasound, and one of them was a medical chip in Alicia's belly. When the vet saw it, he knew he had to call the police, thanks to their communication. The police were looking for that chip as it was illegally made by the expert that helped Billy. The second thing the vet noticed on the ultrasound was that this puppy was a rare specimen, which potentially could be worth loads of money. This was the reason they were searching for the expert. He was doing this to dogs to breed special dogs. The chip was in place to keep track of the dogs, to eventually steal the puppies from the owners to make a load of money. Thanks to Billy, they managed to extract the chip without damaging it. This way they managed to locate the expert. They did this by using the exact same device he would use to track down the dogs. He got a taste of his own medicine. The vet asked what Billy wanted to do with the puppy. He was really healthy. According to the police, Billy wasn't breaking any laws by keeping the specimen. He was also allowed to sell the dog, since he was the leg owner. This was a really rare specimen that he'd never seen before. The vet told Billy that it was a 1 in a million chance that this would happen. This puppy could be worth loads of money, but Billy had only one thing on his mind. He wanted to keep his new puppy that he named Murphy. After they went through all this, he knew that he and this dog had a special bond that he would never break. After everything, the police were also able to track down the expert and lock him up. So after all, Billy and his family could happily live together with their dogs.